This is Kessben 93.3 FM, a new wave of excellence in radio.
The Lord is great. It's my pleasure having you this morning. But first of all, we want to talk about E-Levy and then some directives that is coming from former President John Dramani Mahama. We are told that the minority parliament, in an all-fierce effort, will not accept or agree to the passing bill. Let me hear you in a short while for what the minority really stand, what the arguments are.
Well, first and foremost, we don't need directive from the former president to take a position on the E-Levy. We took a position, yes, we took a position for this directive. I say this because an impression is created as if the president is the one directing parliament as to what we should do. And you realize this argument or these statements were made over the former president's statement that is in line with the thinking of majority of the people of this country. So let it not be created as if the former president is the one directing the NDC as to what we should do. As a member of the NDC, a former president, a leading member of the party, and one of the respected individuals of the party, and most important, former president of the Republic of Ghana, it is right for him to say that I agree with the position of the NDC caucus. So he hasn't done that. He only supported the position we have taken as a caucus.
Yes, but that has been the assertion, so his commentary will go a long way to confirm that.
No, you started by directives, and that is where you got it wrong.
Okay.
The former president has not directed us. If you say that the former president directives, as if he has done us as a caucus in parliament to do this, so that it means that the former president is the one direct as to what we should do. What he has said is that he supported the position we have taken as a caucus and as a party. And mind you, this position supported by a majority of the people of this country. One, you have the centricity, which conducted a survey, and almost 90% of the people of this country are in absolute rejection of the E-Levy. Two, Joy FM, the multimedia, conducted a survey to their station, and majority of this country are against it. Three, you have ISE. ISE is not a wing of the end. ISE condemns it. Imani condemns it. In fact, you have leading members of the founding fathers of this party who have all condemned it. I know that you are not in support of the E-Levy. If you are in support of the E-Levy, state it. And in fact, there are members of parliament from the NPP side spoken with us privately that they are against it. And in fact, some have urged us not to support this. So I'm saying it is not the position of just the former president. It is the position of the generality of the people of this country. What we have said repeatedly, that you do not tax money that is not generated. I have my money in my wallet. And then you tax me. That money is not generating any wealth. Then you tax it. It simply doesn't make this government the reasons for the introduction of the E-Levy. They have been lying to the people of this country. They started the E-Levy to support the budget. Is that not what they told us? Because of course, go and read the budget. At no point in time where they are raised what the E-Levy is supposed to do. At no point in time did they say that the E-Levy is supporting a budget. At no point in time did they tell us that the E-Levy is going to do things have an effect on the economy as a result of COVID. And then this argument of the fact that without the E-Levy we cannot do anything, for me is completely insulting to the intelligence of the people of this country. If we check the budget, assuming the levy was going to be implemented and the foresight, the objectives are all be met, we still have a budget deficit of 37 billion. If the E-Levy is not implemented, the 37 billion will increase to 44 billion. Even with E-Levy, this Minister of Finance and this government has sunk the people of this country into a danger. And instead of them trying to find out how they come out of that danger, they are instead digging more deeper. So I'm saying it simply doesn't make sense. Absolutely doesn't make sense. Now, what we have said as opposition and a responsible opposition in parliament is that we have proper solutions. We have told this government that if you want to reduce the cost, that you can have this budget balance. You don't need E-Levy. The Auditor General has reported, in fact, the committee that I'm a proud member, that over 12 billion monies of the people of this country was appropriated. It is the responsibility of government to close that gap. E-Levy is expected to give government 6 to 7 billion Ghana cedis. And if you have only one single year, 12 billion was misappropriated. It means that that particular money will take care of the E-Levy for 2 years. Now, what benefit will it be to the people of this country if we accept E-Levy, yet the holes are not closed? Yet next year, we have 12 billion again misappropriated. The question will be that did we go or did we come? We told government, reduce the size of your government. You have ministers who were appointed for doing what? Go to the flag house. You have so-called presidential staff. Some of them they live in state bungalows. They drive 4-wheel vehicles. They have security. In fact, some of them have military who are serving as protection for them. I mean, how? It's a presidential staffer, someone working at the Flagstaff House.
Hold
on. Let me finish. On what basis is a person occupying the state bungalow at the expense of the state, using a 4-wheel vehicle? On what basis? 2, you have a president when he's traveling, his seat, chair alone sits in the full Land Cruiser. His chair, when he was coming to Tamale, they flew by the chair flew air. The Land Cruiser was driven with a police officer and a driver and another person in the Land Cruiser. Now, the president chair, the chair he sits in, is in a Land Cruiser fueled by the state. And when he was coming to Tamale, they had the Land Cruiser in the flight, the chair in the flight, and the Land Cruiser was driven with a police officer from Accra to Tamale. And it doesn't even make sense. Reduce this. That is the point we are making. Okay, let me give you a classical example. The practical effects of the E-Levy. Businessmen who live in other parts of the country. Now, if you have a businessman who lives in Accra and the partner is in Kumasi, and the businessman is supposed to send 100,000 Ghana cedis to the partner in Kumasi for the purposes of goods he wants to deliver, or the businessman wants to send 100,000 Ghana cedis from Kumasi to Accra for goods to be delivered to him, and he has to do that electronically, then we'll be paying 1,750 Ghana cedis on the 100,000 Ghana cedis. Now, how much is the return flight? How much is the return flight between Kumasi and Accra? Less than 800 Ghana cedis. And do you think that if I'm a business person, I would want to do that electronically? I would just jump into the next available flight. The pay for e-transaction. 1 is to improve, business. 2 is to improve efficiency and effectiveness. 3 is to reduce time. In fact, time is time known as far as the generation wealth is concerned. And if wealth is not generated, economy won't grow. If economy doesn't grow, the needed jobs will not be created. So these are the events. So don't reduce the position of the E-Levy to an NBC and poll game. How about Issa? How about money? How about the teacher? How about Kojo Kwame Pianim and Co? These are not NBC people. They have all rich position. But let me make this thing very clear. In Uganda, when they were about to introduce it, they told us that, our neighbors have introduced it. When we asked our neighbors, you know what they told us? They mentioned Uganda. They mentioned Kenya. Kenya. Are Kenya and Uganda our neighbors? These are East African countries. Now, when they introduced it in Uganda and people opposed, within 1 month, more than quarter of the users of Momo dropped. So this government should rethink.
I see. That's some very interesting points you have made this morning. But 2 questions I want to ask. My first question is, Abu Mutala, are you being fair to the government if you make an assertion that the government must go after the people who have been caught by the Auditor General's report doing some sort of financial malfeasance and then practices and irregularities and all that? Knowing very well that even if government is to go after them by law, it has to take a level of time to be able to deal with them in terms of prosecution. With that, how long are we going to recoup the money for government to be able to use in executing some plans? And then the second point is that...
Can I answer the first question?
Okay, you answer the first me, and then let's deal with the second one.
Your question is feeding into the same narrative that without E-Levy, we cannot do anything as a government. That's That is what we are.
No, that is the big question I'm asking.
Hold on. No, you conclude by saying that without that, how can you do ABCD? And I'm saying that is the misleading. As if without E-Levy, we cannot do anything. That is why if the argument is that because of COVID, that is another argument that is extremely insulting. Look, Ghana, tell me, is there any impact or negatively on any country by COVID that is more than the loss of lives? Is there anything? Tell me, in terms of COVID, the huge effect of it is the lives that you have lost. Isn't the case?
Yeah.
COVID affected every country in the world. Now let's just not about other countries. Let's talk about West Africa. Several lives were lost in many African countries than they were lost in Ghana. Is that not the case? Tell me which of them went IMF to borrow $2 billion in the name of COVID. Tell me which of them. Tell me which of them went and got over $100 million in the name of COVID. Tell me which of them dipped their hands into funds established for this of developing this country in future. Tell me which of them. Now come that none of them who went to this money, who were hugely affected by COVID. And by the way, some of them even give free rent. Senegal is a classical example. Let them. It's imposing this draconian tax regime using COVID and everything COVID. Why is it that this same government in the year of 2020, exceeded their target in terms of revenue generation? They suddenly turn around and tell us that because of COVID, were we the only country affected?
Yes, COVID has had a lot of challenge economy,
I beg you, spare me this. I am saying that. How about the other countries? I'm not talking of America. I'm talking of our neighbors. Ivory Coast, Togo, Senegal, Burkina. It affected them more than it affected us. None of them went and borrowed $2 billion. I'm not talking of billions of this. $1 billion. So why would we sit down and say that it is because of COVID? Why would we do that? One country, even without their borrowing money, they gave free rent to their citizens. We didn't do that. We didn't do that. When they gave some little assistance to some people in water, what did they turn around? And have they been able to account for the money? Look, the same COVID money, go and check in the budget, the appendices, the return. The Minister of Health spent 54 million Ghana cedis with money, holding workshops and conferences. 54 billion Ghana cedis. The same government is telling us that they are going to use COVID money to establish a bank. Did we have our priority right? So if you tell me, with that argument of COVID, I beg to be thrown somewhere. For you to use COVID money to establish a bank, you have more than excess. Is that not the case? Now I'm asking you, isn't it the case?
I am not in government, so I cannot tell. I am not in government, but the rally presented in the budget. So the government is telling you that he is very much constrained, in terms of resource mobilization. Now, Mutala, kindly listen to my question. Now you are asking the government think outside the box. You are telling government that government has done a lot of both. Now government is telling you that he is not going beyond the shores of this country, but rather within to be able to generate those resources and then to be able to implement the policies that want to implement. How do the government think outside the box if we are not to accept the E-Levy policy?
It's again not true. In the same budget, the government has indicated that they will go for both national and domestically. So who is giving you this information? Read the budget. The financial statement. The Minister for Finance has indicated that they will be going for bonds, international bonds and local bonds. So who is telling you that they said they are not winning money? And in any case, the question I ask you has got nothing to do with you being in government. If you have borrowed money in the name of COVID, and now you have spent that money, and you are telling us that I'm going to use part of the money to establish a bank. And I'm asking you, it means that you have excess. Is that not the case? Why would you to establish a bank? Why would you spend 54 million of the COVID money to all this? In this country, but let me give you a classical. In this country, so you have Frontier Health that fraudulently. The Minister for Health, when he appeared before the appointment committee, and they actually said they were operating without the license, was unaware of their operation. This company is generating millions of dollars every month. That company is owned by the wife of Ashanti Bedio to the sandbox woman. They have set up an offshore account, and every money they generate from it out of this country.
Are you talking about Frontier's Health Services?
Frontier Health, yes, it is an offshore account. Them doesn't even remain in Ghana. And they have gotten another Nigerian bank. A Nigerian owner got another Nigerian bank that is taking them and go in and out Ghanaian degree holders who are working with them. They pay them 137 Ghana cedis a month. That is what they pay.
Yes, but the health minister has told us that he does not know how the contract came about. So what is this of the information you
who was the health minister when they started the work? Then this country won. He was the health minister between 2016 to 2020. Now he said that he didn't know the source of the contract.
Yes.
And it was not as if enough help was appointed. The same minister, he said, and he said it on national television, they operated without the license initially. And that he didn't know about them. Then why? My question is not about that head of who they operated without a license. I am saying that in an offshore account, the money is not left in Ghana. Now, if you are generating millions of dollars, if those monies were to be left in Ghana, it shows the value of our city. The reason why there is so much pressure on our value is because we have fewer dollars in circulation. The few dollars that we mock up, we send to our account. I mean, I am saying that if government is saying it has to do with money, Noguchi has the capacity to go and find out at the airport. It's the same Noguchi people have employed to do that work. Frontier Health was formed 2 months before they started illegal operation. Frontier Health has no expertise whatsoever before they to engage in this act. Noguchi could have done that. 37 could have done that. Olebu could have done that. Even if there was a private Ghanaian business, Nyaho and other clinics would have done that. Now you tell me, because of COVID we don't have money. Please.
Very well, but Mutala, you still haven't answered my question. Now, in our attempt to think outside the box, how do we generate the needed resources for government to be able to implement its policies? And then I'm coming, just a minute, just hold on for me. And then the second question is, what the NDC have told us and keep telling us is the fact that government should cut down its expenditure. You cited the example of the president's chair being thrown to the northern part of the country and all, but you haven't told us the quantification of cost or expenditure that is on our country.
First and foremost, the budget on government machinery has quadrupled. The budget on the office of the president has quadrupled, reduced it. 2, the number of ministers, special assistants, and those young men seated behind a computer just to be working on Facebook, filed in Facebook's wolves, it ought to be reduced. Again, the Auditor General, this Auditor General is not a level. This general is the Auditor General appointed by this president. Said that over 12 billion Ghana cedis cash was misappropriated in 2020 alone. Reduce it. Now that's why I ask a simple question. If over 12 billion was misappropriated, of it is supposed to give us less than 7 billion a year. Less than, and over 12 billion was misappropriated in 1 year alone. Think that if we are able to close that hole, do we need COVID? Ask the simple, do we need COVID? No. We don't need COVID. The frontier, the millions of dollars they are still generating. If you allow the state to millions of dollars to remain in Ghana, 2, the expenditure, how much has government spent flying around the world in private jets? What we demanded to the Honorable Kujo to ask several questions. The Minister for Health will say, the Minister for Interior will say it's not my turn. The National Security will say it's not mine. The Minister for Finance, who is holding the purse of the government, says I'm not the one who's supposed to give this. Nobody is asking of the deals the president entered into or arrangement globally. We have a simple estimation of how much spent in that. So reduce the profligate. And all these things, if you quantify them, it is 4 times the money will generate as a result of E-Levy. So,
and the more anyway, you're giving a fair stance to the passage of the E-Levy bill.
yes, I'm saying it is just we. Don't reduce it to NDC MPP. Majority of the people of this, last time I checked, Joy FM and multimedia, they are not friends of the NDC. They have to have friends. They are friends to the MPP. The last time I checked, it said to the NDC. The last time I checked, TEWU and all those civil society organizations are not NDC. The last time I checked, Central University College, the university that gave it for Dr. Bomia to chain out all manner of attacks of the NDC and the first particular university is a known MPP person. The last time I checked.
No, but that is a serious claim that the founder of that university is a card-bearing member of NPP without any evidence.
I'm not saying it's a card-bearer. I say it's a known member. He has never been a friend to the NDC. And he went on attacks of the NDC. When MPP came to power and they are doing what he never raised a finger against them. So I never read a known person. And even if he's not a known member of the MPP, he's a friend to the NDC. So don't do an NDC MPP ball game. All these reasons, let me say a member of the NDC. You see, all those people who have spoken, and I can tell you this, before God and man is my witness, I have had leading members of MPP in Parliament, me personally, is my witness, who have told me, Mutala Mohammed, yet they can't come and oppose it.
Okay.
Tell me, are you not opposed, or don't you oppose it? Be honest with me. Don't you oppose it?
I do not have an answer to your question.
No, you should have an answer.
I'm just a concerned Ghanaian citizen asking the questions as it will be done by any other Ghanaian. So I don't have an answer.
That is the more reason why your listening public will want to know your position. Because you influence a lot of people. So tell us your position.
Let me say very big thank you. I'm grateful.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Okay, the Honorable Mutala Mohammed, Member of Parliament, the good people of Tamale Central, other Menino Edward, MSU. What is your position, Levy?